It's up to 15 now. Trisha, it looks like we're recording. It's up to 15 now. Okay, well, let's begin. Good evening, everyone. If you're tuned in this evening, you're tuned in. It looks like we're recording. It's up to 15 now. To the Highland Elementary Kindergarten Orientation. My name is Kim Root, and I'm the Executive Director of School Security, Communications, and Strategic Initiatives. And I'm supporting this wonderful team tonight from Highland Elementary. And I'm pleased to first introduce our principal, Miss Tricia Campbell, and she is our first year principal here at Highland. So exciting though, because a longtime member of our auspicious staff in Huron Valley comes to us with a great deal of experience as an elementary teacher, and then as our HVEA president, and then most recently as principal of Highland Elementary. So Tricia, I'm just going to turn it over to you to introduce the team.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rue. It is a pleasure to be here with all of you tonight. We know that typically we do our kindergarten orientation in person, and it is a wonderful event that parents and families always look forward to. But I assure you that we have done our best to try to recreate the experience virtually for you this evening. And we know you're going to walk away from this evening feeling like you know our staff that will be partnering with you in your child's kindergarten experience, and to have some of your questions answered. Whether you have done this before and have been through it with some of your older students, or if this is your first child coming through our schools, we know that tonight will be valuable for you, and this is just the start of our longtime partnership that we're committed to having with you. And we have a wonderful team at Highland. I believe tremendously in this school district and in this school. I've spent nearly 2 decades in Huron Valley having a variety of positions, and I believe in the work that we do here. I believe in the mission of this school district, and I am so proud to be a part of it. And I'm excited to introduce you to our team tonight. And we will start with Nicole Arnold. She is our PBIS coordinator.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am so excited to be speaking to you tonight and welcoming you to Highland. This is my first year at Highland, but I have been in Huron Valley School District for 16 years, where I spent 13 of those years teaching kindergarten. So it is very close and dear to my heart. I'm very excited to meet all of you and your children. I have 3 children of my own that attend Huron Valley schools, so we are very invested in this district. My husband is also a Huron Valley teacher at Country Oaks Elementary, where he teaches PE. I am excited to get to know all of you and meet all of your students, and we will talk about PBIS a little bit later in our presentation. I'm going to get to the most important person in this presentation, which is Mrs. Diamond, our kindergarten teacher.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad that you're able to join us. I'll give you a little bit of my background. I started teaching in 1990 in Long Beach, California, but I was raised in Commerce, Michigan. I've had the opportunity to teach grades K through 8, with the exception of 3rd grade, and I've loved every grade that I've taught. But kindergarten is especially special to me. I live in Milford with my husband and my 2 daughters, one of which is a 7th grader at Muir and the other one is a 9th grader. I am looking forward to sharing what we do here at Highland in kindergarten with you. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to Beth Dietrich, our office coordinator.
Hi, good evening. I'm Beth Dietrich. As she said, I am the office coordinator at Highland Elementary. I have been walking to school every day for over 20 years now. I've only been working here for 14, but I've had 3 students, 3 children that have gone through Highland Elementary. I feel like it is totally my second home. And I look forward to seeing your students here every day.
So thank you to all of you for being here with us once again tonight. And we are going to begin our presentation now. So again, just welcome to Huron Valley. Like Nicole and Carol, I have children that are in the district. My son, Ben, attends Muir, and I really moved into this district because I believed in it so much. I saw what we offered here as a teacher, and I wanted this for my own son. I mentioned the mission of Huron Valley earlier, and it is built around inspiring and building futures one student at a time. And that means that we look at each child as a unique individual. We know that all students learn differently. They have different needs, both academically and social emotionally. And your family is a part of that too. And that's really important to us, that your experience here is very personalized. And we differentiate our learning. We have a variety of learning techniques that we use. We have whole group, we have small group, we have individual one-on-one lessons that we provide for your child. It truly is learning based on what each and every child needs. Part of living our mission statement is win time, what I need time. And as part of your child's day, we have time set aside where no new instruction is happening. And we really use a balanced assessment approach to determine what it is that your children need. Sometimes students are not just there yet. And so during this win time, they will be getting some intervention. It might be intervention directly in the classroom. It might be with one of our specialists in the area of math or reading. If your student needs enrichment opportunities, win time would be the time during the day where they would be able to have an extension of their learning as well. Your child's path at Highland Elementary begins here, and then it takes you on to Muir Middle School. And then from there, we go to Milford High School. And so it really is a journey that begins here, and we want to partner with you and your family to make you have a learning experience that is valuable and personalized, individualized, and something that works for you and your family. Just a little bit about Highland. This is currently what our building looks like. But towards the end of this presentation tonight, I will show you another image of our school that is a rendering from our architects, because we have already started the construction for our bond work. But Highland opened in 1969. Currently, we have approximately 200 students that attend Highland, and that number is less this year just because of the pandemic, and we have some students that have made the decision with their families to be a part of the virtual academy. So we fully expect that number to increase relatively soon. We already know many families who have said that they are interested in returning back to face-to-face learning next year. And currently, Highland hosts students grades K through 5, and we are hoping that next year we would potentially be able to host a junior kindergarten class here as well. Your students will have several options for arrival and dismissal. Your child can ride the bus. you can drop them off in our parent drop-off loop with your car, and that is just off of North John Street. We are a neighborhood school, which is exciting. We have a crossing guard that covers the area off of Livingston Road there. So if you live in the neighborhood, your child will be able to walk to school. And we also have school-age care, before school and after school care available for your child, which helps many families and their work or their unique schedules. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Arnold, our PBIS coordinator.
So many of you may be wondering what PBIS stands for, and that is Positive Behavior Intervention Support. Highland Elementary is a PBIS building, as are all the buildings in Huron Valley. It is a program supported by Huron Valley to promote positive behaviors. The reason PBIS is important is because the goal is academic achievement. PBIS is a 3-tiered support where we meet the individual needs of all learners wherever they may be. All students are in the first tier, where we are all learning behavior expectations. We really focus here at Highland on be safe, be respectful, and be responsible. From that building-wide PBIS, we have tiers where some students need more supports, but the biggest part of PBIS is the positive piece where we celebrate student successes and accomplishments as a whole school and reinforce and build relationships with our students. At Highland, we use our Pause Pledge that we say every day as a school together. We have Hounds of the Month, and I'm really looking forward to next year, looking at new ways where we can continue to celebrate student success. Before we get into the actual kindergarten curriculum, I want to, let you all know that kindergarten is not just about the academics. We are really looking at the whole child approach so that children can be successful. We support and nurture all the areas of the child so that they can reach their academic expectations and feel safe and supported while here in kindergarten. I'm going to pass it off to Mrs. Diamond to talk about what your child's day will look like here in kindergarten.
All right, I'm going to give you a small view of what happens during the course of your kindergartner's day. And we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. So at the beginning of the day, they enter the classroom. At that point, we're really practicing our independence. We want them to be able to unpack their backpacks, get their own coats unzipped and hung up in the winter, get all that winter gear off, switch over to their shoes. The first couple of weeks, we meet them at the kindergarten door. We actually meet them out on the sidewalk, and we all walk in together for the first few weeks. And then at that point, then with their starting to show more independence, we leave the door open and they come in, and we're standing right in the hallway, and they come in and we greet them, and then they get their day going. So we're really just trying to get them into routine the first couple weeks, and they catch on pretty quickly. And then after we've got everybody in and we've unpacked, we sit down on the rug and we have our morning meeting, and that's where we do calendar, we do our counting for the day, we talk about what our schedule for the day is going to look like, if there's anything special, we listen to the announcements, we're doing the Pledge of Allegiance then as well. So it just kind of gets us all together as a group, and we usually have a little opportunity to do some partner talking because they always have things they like to share when they come in the morning. Two of the biggest pieces in kindergarten are phonics and phonemic awareness. And to let you know, phonemic awareness is unwritten. playing around with language. It's learning how to rhyme words. It's practicing cadence and rhythm of memorized nursery rhymes. It's breaking words into sounds like k, at, not spelling them, not writing them, just learning to break apart words, putting them back together. Having a good grip on phonemic awareness is a really good stepping stone to success in reading and writing. And then phonics is more of our written piece where we're starting to put letters down on paper. We're associating the sounds with specific letters. We're doing sound spelling. Probably a lot of what you think of as, you know, that all that beginning reading and writing that you did as a kindergartner. Writer's workshop happens every day, and it looks very different at the beginning of the year than it does at the end of the year. But these three pieces are always in place. We always have a whole group lesson with a specific target, whether it has to do with something like putting spacing between your words, capitalizing the first letter. It is the most basic of basic in the writing area. Then they'll have an opportunity to go practice those things. And we always celebrate their writing. They love to sit and share their writing with the other boys and girls. We do narrative writing, which is just sharing small little things that have happened to them, maybe on the weekend or on a vacation. We do nonfiction writing. We do list writing and labeling. We write pattern books. We do opinion writing. But at the beginning of the year, we start mainly with oral storytelling, where maybe they draw a picture and then they're telling the story. And this will kind of give you an idea here. The beginning of the year, we really focus on your picture having details so that when you're telling us the story, you can get all those parts in there. And sometimes they have letters that they know, and they'll just be random letters they'll just throw down on the page. And that's okay because that's where they're at. By the middle of the year, we start to see maybe some of our snap words that we've learned, those really common words. We start to see them putting those in there. And there'll still be those random letters or sounds that they mix in there. So it'll be a mix of phonetic spelling, standard spelling, and sometimes just random letters. But as long as they can tell us what it says, they are in good shape. And then by the end of the year, everybody's able to, you're seeing more standard spelling and maybe one or two sentences on the page. So that's always our goal. In Reader's Workshop, we do a whole group lesson with a target, and it's a pretty short lesson because most of the time I want them to be having the practice. So they'll go off with their book boxes that'll have level books that are appropriate for them, that I've selected specifically for them, or I've given them a little box to shop out of, and they'll go off and practice. And sometimes they will do partner practice because it's important for them to have a chance to model to someone else that I can do this, to share a book and get a partner excited about reading. And then it gives me, during that time, I can also pull individual groups or single students to work with them on whatever it is they need for their reading time. In math, our main goals are counting, adding, subtracting, and number stories. And it will seem like the first 3 months of school that we have spent an extraordinarily long time on the numbers 1 through 10. And to adults, you're like, by the second week, you're like, oh my goodness, they must have the numbers 1 through 10 down. But really, it takes quite a long time for them to get those down, how to write them. What do they mean? How do we change them? What are the numbers that we can use to make those numbers? And we spend a lot of time on teen numbers as well. So there's a lot of circling back to concepts in math all year long. In science, we use the next generation science standards, and it's very much exploration based. We cover a weather unit, forces of motion, where we talk about pushes and pulls and how to change direction, how to change speed of an object. And then our last unit of the year is living and non-living. And in the past years, even last year when we were out for COVID, we incubated chicken eggs and we raised chickens at a kindergarten teacher's house, and we would send out pictures. And so we love to do that, and we're planning to do that again this year, hopefully, and in the coming years, keep the kids have such a great time seeing the birth of a chicken and knowing how all those steps happen. And then in social studies, our focus is on rules and reasons, and we spend our first few months talking about that. And then we do places in our environment, and that's a lot of things that are related to mapping and what planet do we live on, and what is the name of our state. And then we also do needs and wants, and what are the difference between those, and what do we need to get our needs and wants. The children have the opportunity each week to go to art, to the gym for physical education, and to music. And those are great for our gross and fine motor skills. Even in music, they do a lot of movement. You can see up in the left-hand corner where they're using the scarves. Our music teacher is excellent at getting them up and moving and actively involved in the music. All of our special teachers are awesome. We go to library once a week, and they get a chance to check out a book and just promote that love of reading. We try to make time for inside play every day because we think it's important. You can learn a lot through play. We have a big playroom where we have building materials like Legos and blocks, and they work collaboratively to build things, to decide what they're going to build. There's a lot of good discussion that happens out in that playroom, a lot of negotiating, learning how to work together and to make both happy and not just one person in the group. We have art materials set out for my friends who really enjoy drawing or coloring. And we have creative play spaces like a puppet theater. We have little stores set up where they shop and someone is the shopkeeper. And we have a house area where sometimes they act like it's a restaurant, or sometimes they're playing in the kitchen and fixing food. Outside play, we try just as much to get outside whenever we can. We've actually in the fall, we did a lot of lessons outside as well, and hoping to do that again this spring to give them some mask breaks. But outside play is really important for those gross motor skills. And again, being able to work as a group and how to get along, those things are really important. So it's going to be important that they have shoes and clothes that are comfortable for active play. And another really important thing is that they can get their own shoes on and off. And one of my special things is I love it when they come knowing how to tie their shoes, because when we come in from recess in the winter and they take off their boots, they have those shoes on, and I've got 50 feet kind of pushed at me and saying, "Can you tie my shoes?" And it takes quite a long time for one person to tie 50 shoes, especially when they've knotted them, getting them off. So then I'm working knots out as well. So I would be forever in your debt if you could work with them on learning how to tie their shoes this summer. That would be awesome. And also knowing how to zip their jacket and unzip it. That's wonderful. And I will say this year, I'm pleasantly surprised that most of my kids can all do that. So it's very quick for us to get in and out. We have snack time every day. All I ask is that you make sure that you send a nutritious snack. Leave the cookies and candies for things like a dessert at lunchtime. And if we need to have a peanut-free space or room, I would let you know that at the beginning of the year. It changes from year to year according to what the needs of different students are. And last, there's some things that can help get your child ready for kindergarten, and you'll be getting a packet as well once you, Mrs. Dietrich will be mailing those out with some other hints and things that you can do this summer to kind of get your child ready for kindergarten. One of the biggest things is having conversations with your child. That's, when I say back and forth conversations, it's not just you doing the talking or them just answering yes or no questions. Make sure to ask them why questions or how, and teach them how to make eye contact when they're having conversations with people. You want to teach them to ask you questions back. They need to know that conversations are two-way streets, that they need to show interest in the other person as well. Always practicing their letters and sounds are helpful, and we really do a lot of that at the beginning of the year. Practicing counting and reading numbers, recognizing their name is a really important one. Even if they aren't quite to the point ready to write it themselves, as long as they can recognize it and know, oh, that's my name, they'll have a leg up when they come. Always using scissors and glue, all those fine motor skills are good to have practice coloring. Practicing independent skills. If you could do things like making sure that they can put their own things away when they take them off, maybe setting the table, they could help set the table for dinner, some simple chore that can be their own and they can take pride in being able to do all by themselves. I used to let my girls help me cook. It might be as simple as something as simple as me measuring out the flour, but them dumping it in. So all of those things promote independence. Practicing listening and following directions, that's a really big one too. You see if you can give them one direction, and if they can follow one direction, if they can keep it in their head and not get distracted, then you can go on to maybe 2-step directions. I want you to put all your dirty clothes in the hamper and put your blocks in the toy box, and see if they can do both of those and follow multi-directions, because once they get into the classroom, that's really going to be an expectation. And then of course cleaning up after themselves. In the room, they're actually quite independent with that. They usually are very good about cleaning up after themselves. And then again, tying, we didn't put this on there, but again, learning how to tie their shoes this summer would be awesome. And read to them every day. The more you read to them, they see that you value it. And if you value it, they look up to you so much that they're going to value it. And that'll make it easier for them to learn the skills to read. And I think that I'm going to pass it back to Ms. Campbell.
Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Diamond. You are one in a million, and I am lucky enough to get to see you every day, how passionate you are about the learning of some of our youngest learners. And I hear from parents all of the time what a seamless transition from their daycare or their preschool that you make it. You are wonderful with having an open door policy, and you communicate with parents often, and all of our new incoming families can come to expect that same experience from you. So thank you. I'm going to transition right now to talk a little bit about the Huron Valley Virtual Academy. And this was initially a new program that we kicked off this year in response to the pandemic. But we have had so much success with it that there is a lot of interest from our families and our community, and even from some families outside of our district, to be a part of this virtual learning experience. The thing that I am most proud about regarding our virtual academy is that it is not a computer program that your student would log on and be a part of. We have Huron Valley certified instructors who will be your children's teacher, and we try to recreate the in-person classroom experience just as much as we possibly can in this virtual setting. There is still a strong focus on not just academic rigor, but relationships and social emotional learning. And there is a strong parent partnership, just as our face-to-face learners have. And there is a structure to the day. There is a regular schedule that students follow. And then it is also balanced with both online and offline learning sessions, because we know, especially some of our youngest learners in junior kindergarten and kindergarten, it's not good for them to just sit on a screen for the entire school day. They build in activities to incorporate play and hands-on learning, even in the virtual environment. So if you would like more information and you can see an example of that daily schedule and what it might look like, you can look in the HVVA handbook found on that page in the district's, or on the district's website. And we're going to transition now to talk a little bit about registration. So when you go to hvs.org, this is the initial banner that you will be seeing. So if you just click on it, it will take you here. And it will give you all of these options and information about online student enrollment. So you want to click right there, online student enrollment. And it gives you all of these steps, all of the information about the paperwork that you will need to get your student enrolled. And we also have Mrs. Dietrich here with us, and she is our office coordinator, and she is the expert at this, and she will walk you through every step of this. She is already in communication with many of our families, and she will help to ensure that this is as seamless of a process for you as possible. So with that, I am now going to turn it over to Mrs. Dietrich.
Well, hello again. The first thing you do is do the online enrollment. Just as Miss Campbell showed you how to get to the online process, do the online enrollment, and I get notification immediately. And then that opens our lines of communication. I can give you a call, I can send you an email and tell you exactly what documentations you are going to be needing. Or you can call me, and the number's right there on the screen. I am more than happy to walk anybody through the enrollment process. We can go step by step. The documents that you're going to be needing, your first step is going to be your driver's license. If you don't have a valid driver's license, I can use a passport. 2 proofs of residency, just like a utility bill. Can't use a cell phone bill because that is listed to a person and not to a home. The child's original birth certificate with the seal, that I have to have the original and make a copy of. The immunization record, you can get that from your doctor. I just call them up, ask them, and he'll send it right to you, or they can fax it to us directly. Vision screening, most of you will get that at your annual checkup with the doctor. It'll be right there on his documentation. And on our website, you can find the kindergarten profile form and the transportation release form. The profile form is a guideline for the kindergarten teacher, gives them a little background as to your child and what they know already and their habits. The transportation release form, the bus garage needs that. They cannot release your child off the bus unless you are there to retrieve your kindergarten student or someone named on the online form. There's other documents that we could use. If you have any custody papers, those are very important for us. And your open enrollment forms, that is, if you want to go to a different school within our district, you have that option. You just have to fill out the paperwork and submit it. And if there's room, the principals will discuss it and they'll give you a call back and accept you 9 times out of 10. Your school of choice is out of district. If you are in Waterford or Heartland or anywhere around and you want to drive your student to Highland Elementary because it is an amazing school, fill out the school of choice form. It's a very easy process and you can email me anything that you need. If your child already goes to or is enrolled in the PAL or the JSRP programs, the Apollo Center, they're going to be automatically enrolled into our home school. If this is their home school, they're automatically enrolled. All I need from you then is updated immunization records, updated vision screening, and the kindergarten profile form and the transportation release form. It's that easy. It'll be a quick and painless process, I promise you, and I will then send you a packet for you to work with your student with over the summer and get them ready for Highland. And you can see all the different things that is about Highland.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Dietrich. You are a wonderful resource, and you will continue to be here with all of our families throughout this process. At the beginning of our presentation, I showed you what our school currently looks like, and this is a rendering from our architects about what our school will look like in the fall. Come September, when we start school, this will be the new main entrance as part of a $200 million plus bond in building site and sinking fund program that the voters put in place for us. We will now be getting safe and secure entries to all of our elementary buildings. And actually, eventually, it will hit all of our buildings in our district. In many ways, I feel like every inch of this building is going to be touched because of the generosity of our voters. We are getting new flooring, new ceilings, new paint, new furniture that is flexible and will allow for us to enhance our instructional design in our classroom. Our media center is getting an upgrade. We are so fortunate, and it's really an exciting time at Highland to see all that is going to be new and improved. And we know these new learning spaces will inspire even more creativity by our educators and especially by our students. So thank you to all of the voters out there who made this possible for us. We want to make sure that you are feeling a part of our Highland family right away. So tonight, I encourage you to take a look at our HVS and Highland website and get familiar with how to locate that. Also, you can see things that we are posting on our Highland Elementary Facebook page and also our Highland Twitter page, and that is just at Highland ELEM HVS. Our kindergarten teachers are amazing as well at communicating digitally with families. They use Seesaw, Google Slides, and Google Sites. And so those are just a few of the ways that you will be getting communication with your teachers and from our school. So I encourage you to follow us on social media this evening as well. And with that, just one more welcome to our kindergarten class of 2034. I know that that seems very far away, but let me tell you, as a parent, these years fly by extremely fast. And we are looking forward to partnering with all of you for your child's kindergarten and not just their kindergarten experience, but all throughout their years at Highland Elementary. And then as they go on to Muir and Milford High School, please know that our relationships that we have with our students' families are just as important to us as the relationships that we have with our students. We know that a strong school, family, parent partnership is essential to our students being successful, and this is just the start of it. So thank you for being here with us tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Ritt now to see if we have any questions from our feed.
So we don't yet, but I'm sure that everyone was so engaged in the presentation that they didn't have an opportunity to type yet. We'll give them an opportunity to type in the chat. You all did a great job explaining what kindergarten looks like at Highland Elementary. So we're really proud of that. I would just encourage, we have about 20 people watching right now. So if you do have questions, please go ahead and type them in the stream, and I can read them, and then whoever is the most appropriate person to answer can answer the questions. While we're waiting for folks to type in some questions, I would just say some of the questions we're getting early on are about what this all will look like in the fall. And so I'll just sort of preempt some of those things, if that's okay with the team, and just say, I wish we knew. We don't have a lot of direction at this point. Last year, when we put our safety and our mitigation measures in place, we had guidance from the state with the governor's roadmap for education. We knew what was going to be required of us starting in late June, and then we built a safety plan around that. But we don't have that guidance right now. As you know, lots of folks are able to access the vaccine. And so a number of our staff members have been able to do that. More and more people keep taking advantage of the vaccine. So we're hopeful that leads to a continued decline in terms of hospitalizations and deaths from COVID-19. But what impact all of that will have on our schools, we just don't know yet. So I do see some questions rolling in, and so I'll just go ahead and read the first one. How do we find out what time the bus picks up at by our house?
Transportation will send you a postcard that tells you what bus number you ride, the bus route, where the stop is, and what time it picks the student up and what time it drops the student off. You won't get that till probably the week before school.
Thanks, Beth. Next question. Do you anticipate an in-person meet and greet this year? So, Ms. Campbell, that one might be for you.
And I was going to say, we are always hopeful for every experience that we will be able to return to in person. But as Ms. Root was saying earlier, some things we just don't know yet. And I think this falls under that category. But I know that we are anxious to be back together in person as quickly as possible. And that is definitely our hope, as long as we're able to do that safely.
Right. And many parents anticipate, either a sort of an in-person K-Days kind of experience. And most of our elementaries would host right before school starts an ice cream social. Those things, just stay tuned for. I would say to our parents, and hopefully we can give more details closer to the end of the school year, or sometime in May perhaps, and then give more details about how that might be possible. Okay, lots more questions rolling in. I knew once they got started, we'd just be on a roll. I was wondering what the process will be for the first day of school.
I'll try and answer that. We still don't know. Usually the parents come and it's a half a day and parents come with the students. But like everything else, I don't know that will be happening in the fall, but we would let you know as soon as we knew.
So Mrs. Diamond, would you be able to speak to what that would look like if we weren't having visitors in the building? Kind of how did you transition and change things up this year for the first day of school? What did that look like for the kids?
Well, the biggest change was that the parents weren't in the room. So it was more like just a kind of a regular day. We just dug right into routine and got going with that. So I guess that's might be what it's like next year. The parents said goodbye at the door, and we got them all safely in, and we took very good care of them.
And I think that's
we were in a hybrid model at that time, at the start of the school year in August of 2020. So it was only half of the students that Ms. Diamond would have normally had. But if it were, Mrs. Diamond, a normal year, what would that look like?
So if we do it like we normally do, parents accompany, or one or both parents can come with their student, and we're here for a half of a day. And I We do some different centers. We do some things where they get to explore the school, a little scavenger hunt where they have to find different places in the school. We make a book box for them to keep at home. And then at one point, only one of the kindergarten teachers has half of their class or has their class at the time, one time, and the other kindergarten teacher takes the students out, and I would get to talk to the parents more in depth about what they're going to see academically during the year and more in depth about how you could support at home. And then we all come back together and we do just kind of a little ending story, and then that's it for the first day. That's
So
kind of how
it sounds like either way, whether parents will be able to join us or not, you really spend a lot of your time in the beginning focusing on making sure that students feel that they are in a safe, comfortable place and working on those routines that are oh so important in kindergarten.
Yes, definitely.
Next question is, what time does the school day start and end each day?
So the school day starts at 9:10. That's when students can begin entering into our buildings, and then it ends at 4:07.
Great, thank you. And how many pupils are usually in a class?
Well, it really varies. Class sizes are built based on contractual numbers. That's part of our bargaining unit with our teacher group, and so we do have that built smaller numbers for our early elementary students at Highland. We have been fortunate though because we have relatively smaller class sizes here. In our upper grades, 3rd through 5th grade, there would never be more than 31 students though. That would be our max.
The next question, do we anticipate this school year starting before Labor Day again this year?
So again, that is a contractual piece, and it sounds like that is something still being worked out between the district and our bargaining groups, and we do not have a calendar yet, but I am hoping that we would get one soon, so I cannot answer that at this time.
Will they be required to wear anything special if busing the first day? So maybe that's a question about masks. And again, I'll just say, I know it feels like we don't have a lot of answers, and it's because we don't have a lot of answers. And I apologize to our families for that. We certainly hope we have more clarity on a number of these items by the end of the school year, or at least by, the summertime, so that we can answer many more of these questions. I think my answer right now is we just don't know about masks. I think that the conventional thinking right now is that, the younger students aren't as likely to spread as the older students, but there's still details being worked out on that. There's still studies being done on that by the CDC. And so we just don't know. And I wish we did know, but we will and have all along throughout this pandemic followed public health guidance. We've been very clear on doing that, both from Oakland County, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the CDC, taking their recommendations and implementing those recommendations, and we'll just continue to do that. Oh, she said, sorry, not masks. Previous years have had T-shirts indicating they are kindergartners. That's a great question. So I'm not sure. Trisha, you want to field that? Miss Campbell, you want to field that one? Or Carol, do you want to field that one?
I'm going to let Mrs. Diamond cover that one.
Okay. Yes. At the usually in the spring at the kindergarten orientation, they get a T-shirt that says like kindergarten class of, in this case, it would be 2034. And then we ask them to wear those on the first day so that everybody can identify the kindergartner. I'm not sure how that's going to happen this year. I don't know if Mrs. Dietrich knows any of that or not. No. Okay.
I can answer the fact that we are purchasing the t-shirts.
Oh, good.
So that's something that we've done district wide for the last several years. It's been a really big hit. And I know every year when I order those shirts and I see the class of 2030 something, I think, holy cow, I'm getting really old. But we are going to order them again this year. The question is just how do we distribute them? And so if we're able to have an either end of the year activity or a beginning of the year activity, maybe that's how we do it, with an ice cream social setting, or maybe we have folks come and pick them up here at central office over the summer or something like that. It really all depends on what we're able to do and not do. We do feel like if we could get those in the hands of kindergartners before the first day, that would be great. So more to come on that as well. So that is the last question I have posted in the chat. Those were some great questions. Anything that any one of you would like to add that we feel like we didn't get to or would like to emphasize?
I would just like to thank our team for being here tonight and all of the families and parents who tuned in. Please know this is just the start of a continued partnership with Huron Valley Schools and with Highland Elementary. We are going to be standing with you through this every step of the way, and we couldn't be more thrilled to start another school year and welcome your kindergartners next year.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. There is one more question that popped up. If the kids had a vision screening at Apollo, do they need another one from their doctor?
Yes, they need a new one coming into kindergarten.
Thank you, Mrs. Dietrich. I think that's it. One of our viewers said, thank you, everyone. And I would say thank you again to all of you. These meetings are being recorded and they will be posted to the website. So if any of our families know someone out there who just wasn't able to tune in tonight, they can go on our website, click the live stream link for this building, and they'll be able to view this entire presentation and this entire meeting. I would also say that any one of the people on this call, particularly our team from Highland Elementary, is always willing to answer questions. So if you have questions that you didn't think of tonight, or you know someone who wasn't able to attend tonight, and then they viewed the presentation and they still have questions, the great folks at Highland Elementary are ready and willing to help you. So have a great evening, everyone. And I think that's it, unless Ms. Campbell, there's anything else.
No. Thank you. And thank you so much, Ms. Root, for being here and moderating this evening.
My pleasure. Good evening, everyone.